What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Antonius DaGamer, joined by my co-hosts, Super SS Rank and Mykale Smith. Fellas, thank you guys for joining me for another episode. We are now on episode 8 of the Gamer Podcast, and we're just going to kind of get right into it. We got one main topic to kind of break down today, and that is what I've dubbed as the MGU, the Marvel Gaming Universe. Right? We've seen this week that Black Panther officially is getting an announcement for a third-person, I'm assuming action adventure game. They said an action game, but we already know what that means. Single player experience, probably similar to the other third person experiences that we've seen in the past with superhero games. It is a new studio, but apparently one of the creative leads on there is one of the creative leads for Shadow of Mordor. So, for those of the listening audience who haven't played, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War are some of the best third person action adventure games that I feel like you can play. Even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, just in terms of the Nemesis system, the combat system, the way the counters were, I was hooked for both games, despite not being as big of a Lord of the Rings fan. Despite not knowing everything that was going on, just the gameplay and what you could do in that open world drew me in to play both the game, the sequel, and the sequel DLC. So it seems promising out the gate. Obviously, it was just a teaser. There was no gameplay, no character models, character designs. But let's start there. How are you guys feeling about Black Panther kind of being like the next up to get a video game announced?
I would definitely say do your research. I do feel like Black Panther is the type of video game where you have to really go deep into comic book lore because I don't want to see Marvel Cinematic Universe elements like in terms of story. There's certain uses of characters. Like I don't want a Disney counterpart.
Okay.
I would really love a very comic rich story because I do feel like the movies, due to the circumstances of things, and then of course, it all plays along in a much bigger story. I did feel like Black Panther wasn't really able to explore what goes on in the actual country. Usually it's always an Avengers level outside threat. And of course, the second one, it was a much more home-based battle, but like I said, it was still, you want to see more local villains, like local villains more, or even like more of the local issues. Because, there were some people, there was some of his own people who felt, well, you're not leading us correctly, so we're just going to do our own thing. So I definitely want to see like a lot of rich, much more culture of the comics integrated into the video game. I definitely feel that would open up the audience more, especially who really know Black Panther as just like the movie version, to really see Wakanda has a lot to really offer in terms of just story, character dynamics, everything.
Okay. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so number one, are they still doing the Black Panther / Captain America game?
They are.
Okay, and what's that gonna play like?
There's been nothing announced so far other than that they're working on it. There's been no studio attached to it. Obviously, there's a studio attached to it, but no studio attached to it that we know of yet.
Okay.
No leaks have occurred. So right now, it's the Black Panther solo game is kind of taking precedent.
Okay, so did anybody get a chance to play the Black Panther Avengers DLC? Nope. Okay. For me, I'm curious because is it gonna be an open world game?
Again, it's a teaser, right? So I think that's kind of like what we're trying to, talk about. Like, what do you guys, again, my question kind of like was, what do you think about that being the game being announced? But I am, I think we can talk about concepts we'd like to see. I mean, Tim already kind of expressed what you're looking for story wise.
I think, okay, for me, if you're gonna do a Black Panther game, I don't want a linear game. I kind of want, when I say linear game, I don't want.
You don't want Final Fantasy 16, pretty much.
No, not 16. I don't have.
Well, you don't want. I guess a better question is like you don't want like what they did with Avengers, where Avengers was basically.
I wouldn't mind a Spider-Man-esque, world. Give me a
Mm.
world of Black Panther, kind of like what Tim's alluding to. I wanna see the world explored more. So I feel like the best way to capture that would be a Black Panther open world game.
Mm.
Now another thing is it gonna be pre Wakanda or is it gonna be during a King T'Challa's reign? You know, so that's kind of what I want to know. But since you're doing the other game with Captain America in the 1930s, so I'm assuming this will be T'Challa now.
Yeah.
And depending on how those games are going to play, I don't know what to go for. So I think for this one, I would want to see in the world explored. I want to see Black Panther probably have because the thing is, right? I think one time I was watching a podcast, they was like, "Yo, you know, I know why I want to be Spider-Man, but I don't know why I would want to be Black Panther. If I'm a young, and this is a white dude saying, if I'm a young black man, what would make me want to pick Black Panther over Spider-Man?"
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, I mean, you know, because I was thinking about it. Because they totally nerfed him in the Civil War movie. After that, they nerfed him.
Well, no, Civil War movie is probably where he shined the most.
Yeah, I mean, they nerfed
Civil
him
War.
in the other movies. They post Civil War, after Civil War, they nerfed him because, you know, why is Black Panther riding on top of a car when he could run at the speed of what he's running at? You know, what are Black Panther's noticeable abilities versus scratching stuff? Okay, we understand he's bulletproof.
I would never forgive them for Captain America catching up to Black Panther in Infinity War when they were trying to protect Wakanda. Never. That one open scene where the Wakandans are all running and T'Challa's leading and Captain America catches up to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no... This was the same one that was handing out L's all through Civil War. Everyone was catching hands.
There's
no way you caught up to this man.
Without the suit.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, he had the whole Cole's shirt on from Cole's, straight from Cole's, and iron pressed.
Right,
iron pressed old Navy shirt on, man, with the necklace on. I'm like, man, what's going on, yo? And then I would like to see that. I mean, I feel like an open world game where you can explore the mythos of and then even some cameos from certain characters, right? Because Black Panther actually debuted on Fantastic Four, his on-screen appearance, and you know what elements are they gonna stress? Are they gonna stress stealth? They would have to, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, they have to, right? And if they're gonna do stuff, what is it about? Like, is he gonna be Black Cat but just a male from Spider-Man? You know, like what is he gonna attributes does he have? You know, I mean, let's look at Black Cat from the Spider-Man. She'll scratch a circle, and you know, as a thief or burglar, what's a King Panther gonna do? You know, and I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to see how would he be different from a Sabretooth. You know, these characters that don't, you know, that pounce, or a Craven. Is Craven gonna show an appearance? That I'm like, why wouldn't Craven go for Black Panther versus Spider-Man? I'm trying
it's not a bad concept.
You know, and I'm just thinking, are Black Panther's enemies interesting enough? And if they aren't, I'm kind of hoping they do with a Sucker Punch. Not Sucker Punch, Insomniac, right? It's the Spider-Man game. Insomniac does, and they kind of like do their own, create their own storyline for these guys.
Yeah.
I think chasing Shocker, I would let Shocker go, and I would drag on that fight for as long as I could because it was so fun. Chasing Shocker and Spider-Man, I really enjoyed that. And I shouldn't have, because I'm like, how many chase scenes did I do in Spider-Man before? But this one itself, this one, no pun intended, that was a shocker. Yeah. You know? It was a very good chase scene. And I liked how they designed them. I was like, I wasn't expecting this design. Yeah. I think my favorite design from Spider-Man was Scorpion, man. That was the one where I was like, yo, I didn't think we could make Scorpion cool again.
Yeah, I think to your point. I mean, unless you had another thing to add, but I think like one of the things that they did really well was Mr. Negative, right? Mr. Negative was considered by many to be a B-level villain within like the Marvel universe, and you look at the way he's implemented in Spider-Man. He's like, you know, granted he doesn't end up being the ultimate threat. I guess spoiler alert at this point, 5 years later, but it's just like he's enough of a threat where like you kind of feel like okay, he might be the big boss. And this is a character that would have never when you think of a Spider-Man villain for a game, he doesn't even come across your radar of like, oh, Mr. Negative, or even with Across the Spider-Verse, the Spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know the Spot, we've seen the Spot. You don't think of him as like, no, this is him. As like the
terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, he felt like Spellbinder unhinged from the Batman Beyond series.
Yeah. The villains aren't.
You don't remember Spellbinder?
Nah. Yeah, I know Spellbinder.
Yeah.
You was a Batman Beyond fan?
Yeah,
I was. But other than like 2 or 3 characters like Ink, Buddy with the skull face. No, the Rogue Gallery was good.
That's a Rogue Gallery.
Yeah, it was good. But in terms of like what I go back to watch, I go back to watch the Batman animated series. I'm not gonna throw Batman on it. Like, let's be let's call it for what it is.
Wow. No, Batman Beyond's a better Spider-Man Unlimited. So
that's not even.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that. But
other than costume design, let's just leave that one alone. let that boat sail right on by.
No, but definitely get back on topic. The Marvel game universe. I'm to be honest, I'm a little fearful of that. I do feel, especially since you got to be honest, it's going to be in the hands of a lot of studios. So I do feel like with these games, you should just let them be one-offs or standalones. Mm-hmm. I would say, like for example, like the last Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it very much. And then of course, you got Insomniac doing Spider-Man, Wolverine. I do feel actually with Insomniac's versions, especially since they have multiple IPs, I do feel like at least with those games, you could have potential crossovers in the future. Because when you look at it, the Spider-Man animated series, he met the X-Men.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then the reason
Spider-Man and Wolverine have had like that frenemy relationship for forever.
Yeah, and then like the reason why he met them, it was actually a very logical reason. So you could actually open up doors with that. But let's just say if this studio's doing this studio's doing that, it becomes a little chaotic. So I do feel like whoever takes the helm when they receive this IP, just keep it to yourself.
Pretty self-contained. Yeah. I agree with you. I think in terms for me, and then we'll go back into the broader aspect of things, right? For the Black Panther game, I agree. I think a self-contained villain, right? A villain that's not part of the, one of the Avengers big bads, right? I don't necessarily as cool as it would be to see like Black Panther kind of go up against Doctor Doom, right? I don't think that's where we need to go, right? It could be Namor, right? Again, it could be Namor. It could just be somebody that's a little bit, like Jory said, a little bit more localized. Again, I do think the Jedi Survivor approach, where there's more of a hub world that opens a little bit of an open world aspect, but it's not a whole. You don't necessarily want Wakanda the village, right? But you want to be able to go to certain parts of Wakanda, for the main storylines, for side missions, to meet more characters. I think in terms of storyline as well, I think I would want, to Tim's point, see more of the mysticism of the Black Panther kind of be played up, right? Where it's like Shuri in the comics is like a shaman. Like, yes, she does spend some time as like the Black Panther, but she also trains in like mystic abilities that the MCU kind of skirts around, because obviously they've been very, sometimes there's magic and sometimes there's not, right? But it's just kind of like the Black Panther herb, and the fact that they've established, the Pantheress as an actual goddess in that world is like, you need to kind of pull into that, to Jory's point of like, you want a reason to pick Black Panther. But,
okay. That's probably one of my problems with Black Panther. It was like Storm. He was married to Storm at one point, and I felt like that was the worst thing they could have done. Only because now you have to have an X-Men at one point. Yeah, okay, we got our black couple, prom couple, or whatever.
You don't necessarily have to.
Well, the thing is, you knew they weren't going to stay together now, right? So that's, everybody was expecting the split. I was expecting the split. Once I saw it, I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to last. So what's even the point? What's even the point?
I don't think it has to go that route for the game though. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
bro,
saying like
you jumping far ahead, bro.
We don't have to go into his like his comic relationships. I just think in terms of, like I said, there's a mystic side of it, right? It's not just because otherwise he's Black Bruce Wayne with powers.
All right. So now I feel like if they're not gonna go that route, they're gonna go to because there's a Wakanda where they, I don't know if you guys know, but T'Challa owns a planet.
Yeah, but that's to me again, like it's things where it's like, I guess my whole thing would be, if we're talking story, right? I think there needs to be more established, even more so than MCU, since the MCU has kind of set the new standard of like, this man is a genius level character.
No, and I'm saying
point blank, I bet you 99% the two villains are going to be Killmonger and the dude with Claw. It's as intro villains, you already see that coming, bro.
I was saying, what would make it more interesting if they do open world, right, and they go to the planet where T'Challa, the planet where the planet T'Challa, and it takes place there, that would be more interesting because now we don't know what to expect as because now you have a city to protect for real. You have a city to protect, and now you can have all types of you can have all types of villains now at this point. You could have cosmic villains. You could have, I think for me that'll give more a creative room because if we would kind of know what to expect. So why is Wakanda being now penetrated by,
I don't think they'll go that route, bro. Because yes, comic books have unlimited continuities for different things. But you could tell when it comes to like a Hollywood blockbuster video game, they're gonna choose the most palatable version of it. Like,
the most accessible version.
It's an African country that has been sheltered off from the world due to XYZ, and this is their protector. Point blank. Like, I do get where you're coming from, but you already know how this story is going to go.
Yeah, they're not deep diving that lore.
You don't think it's
for a first game.
You don't think it's going to give, because it's like, if it's sheltered, how are you going to have threats constantly?
Because of their resources, the same way with the movie. Everything has always been about their resources, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because even with this latest movie about the Thunderbolts, that's what it is about. They're trying, like, this lady who's putting all these Avenger-like counterparts is going to use them, and that's why Bucky is there, to use them to infiltrate Wakanda. Because especially after what happened with Black Panther 2, remember the military was like, well, who the hell killed our people on the boat?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's saying anything. So everything is, when it comes to Wakanda, like in terms of like villains and stories, most of the time it's always about their resources as a country.
Yeah. And again, to Tim's point, you're talking about the first game. Like, I'm not saying that they wouldn't pull in that lore further down the road. We're talking about, like Tim said, what's the most accessible game that's going to get kids to bug their parents to buy it? What's the most accessible game for, people who don't read comics or don't, go down the wikis, right, to see what this character is doing, and they just want to be able to play as a character. You can still make Wakanda a futuristic city. I'm not saying it has to be, he's running around a jungle somewhere, although a jungle level would be cool, right? You can still have skyscrapers in Wakanda, like Wakanda proper. There's a lot of things that you could do that still gives him the mobility and flexibility of a superhero. That's not just like he runs from village to village. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's ways to make it. Again, hub world to me would probably be the best route. Almost like an expandable like Arkham City, in my opinion.
I think what you did with Jedi Survivor is actually a pretty good thing because, bro, there were some levels I was like, bro, when did shit end? like it was like, how far are we going?
Yeah.
Like left, right, up, down, crisscross, like. So yes, I do feel like a hub world, like basically like, and it's still open world, but not to that extreme vastness.
Yeah,
but
we don't need a Spider-Man, Black Panther game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of aspects about that because you remember like you don't really expect him to just be running around all over the place because you remember like the man is rich. a king. He has jets he can call in to like zoom him from point A to point B. And then, because you also got to realize they are going to throw probably elements where, the foreign enemy went away. So you got to go after them. So, and then of course you already know it's going to be probably most likely New York or.
You think so? Like a New York level?
Yeah, like a New York level, like, or you just like how they did with the first movie. Like you were in a well-known populated city hunting down a particular person. And you probably got two Dora Milaje at your side. I mean, because when you really look at it, that is how these stories of Black Panther actually go. Because look at Falcon and Winter Soldier when they found out that Baron Zemo got out of jail. And they were in a well-placed city, looking for him, tracking him down, caught him, beamed up the jet, we out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I mean. It's very tricky, man. Because like I said, man, this is a character that has always been a bigger connection to other characters. Because I do feel like when it comes to like Marvel face characters, like even like look at the generations of the games that we grew up with, is X-Men versus Street Fighter, and then you got Spider-Man IP. So like X-Men, Spider-Man. What's the next best? What's the next one? That I would say. Shoot, even
any of the crossovers, yeah, any of the Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men Mutant Academy, like
even like the Avengers game, which was basically kind of a flop. Like it's just that they always choose something that that is like super name brand to lead the way. Like even like this latest Guardians of the Galaxy, that was a gamble, but it actually paid off. Mm-hmm. It paid off in a very, very good way because, that is still a segment of, and I would say, Marvel space that hasn't really been explored like that. And then, look how the Netflix series did Marvel Street, which was basically Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. And, now you got you got more metahumans, mutants and things of that nature. So like I said, like, Marvel, other people from like different countries, different nationalities. It is very something to really like tricky to go about. So like I said, like, yes, like both you and I just said, Jory, like they do need a lot of comic references, but straightforward ones.
Yeah.
Straightforward ones. Like, yeah.
I mean, the only reason why I'm worried,
anti-heroes, like I wouldn't be surprised if like Silver Sable shows up. You know what I'm saying? Like things where it's like an international dispute.
That's cool. That's cool. Mm-hmm. My worry comes from the Shadow of War, which was a good game, but it did have its flaws.
It was repetitive. It was repetitive.
Very repetitive. Yeah.
So that's where I'm saying, it's I'm a little bit worried. If it was the team that was doing Spider-Man behind this, I'd be okay.
So you'd be okay if it was a Sony's exclusive?
I wouldn't mind. I'm not tied up on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not like because my argument, if I wanted to go in depth, I could do an argument for Xbox, right? As to why you guys now the console war has actually begun. Because before then,
it has low key like the reset button.
Because now Xbox has the support versus Sony actually being Sony, and Xbox was just Xbox. It was just owned by Microsoft, but they had their budget and they were willing. If they themselves, they were just parenting. If this company goes under, then it goes under. Mm-hmm. So within that fight of watching Sony and Microsoft, Sony and a Xbox battle. Now that it's Microsoft Xbox, the real console war has begun now. Now we're going to have true infrastructure. We're not going to be dealing with what we were dealing with the mishaps with the Xbox. Because what a lot of people like to drill in and they don't understand the aspects of building, what Phil Spencer's done in 5 years, Xbox itself and its longevity hasn't been able to do because they didn't have the backing. So it was a lot of them just being able to, survive. And it's very hard to argue. So it's basically Broly fighting Kaioken Goku, and Kaioken Goku just surviving and taking the blows versus now we have God Goku that could fight the hanger with either or Broly from whatever.
You could tell you definitely are the Xbox defender, bro. Because look how you just went on just for that.
He's always been that since I've known him.
But I mean, you like, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I think it actually it brings up a better it brings up a bigger conversation, right?
If we're gonna defend, let's do it accurately. You know, I'm not gonna be the Xbox guy just lying to you and saying da 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 da. I'm giving you reasons as to just looking at both sides as an equal trade, you know, like not just talking to talk. But, but listen, this is what most Sony fans just kind of skim over and refuse to see.
Let's deep dive into that, right, a little bit, right? So we know this is the bigger publisher of this game is EA, right? So we know it's going to be a multi-platform release.
EA is publishing
Black Panther.
Oh,
I know. We'll see. No. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
It's not Electronic Art.
We will see. We'll see. We got Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order from EA. Let's not do that.
Who made the game though?
Was it Respawn?
Respawn.
Yeah. Again, EA is the publisher. That's all I'm saying.
That's okay. Okay. Who's making the game though? What studio?
It's a brand new studio. It's a brand new studio.
So Monolith Studio is no more?
I think it is.
Because you said it was from the people who made
one of them.
Oh, okay.
It's not Monolith, because Monolith Studios right now they're working on that Wonder Woman game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're working on Wonder Woman. So it's a new studio, and one of the creative leads from the Shadow of War series is taking lead on Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
So EA is publishing, so we know it's going to be multi-platform because it's EA, right? And going to Jory's point about console exclusives, I think we're talking about the spirit of fairness, right? We are going to get the Xbox equivalent of Spider-Man. There is going to be a cherished superhero that's going to be console exclusive to Xbox, right? So when we talk about this great idea of the MGU, right, the Marvel Gaming Universe, and essentially the inevitability of that, is there a point where are there certain characters that you wouldn't mind seeing of like, okay, if this person becomes Microsoft exclusive, I'll make my peace with it? Or do you guys feel like if everything kind of comes together at a cohesive at some point for one mega game, right, is it okay that, you know, they pulled Blade, who's Microsoft exclusive, just for example, right, and put him in the same universe as Spider-Man and Iron Man, who are more, you know, Iron Man's more multi-platform and Spider-Man obviously is Sony exclusive?
Honestly, bro, that's very weird. Now that you say it out loud, because, all right, for example, when you look at like mascot characters for like, let's just say for DC and Marvel, when it comes to video games, you always think of Batman and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, from PlayStation 3 all the way up to now, you know, we've gotten the glory years of Batman in terms of combat, stealth, all of that. And then now, you know, we've now entered the era of Spider-Man. So like to see of a character like who would say like, you know, if Xbox were to pick it up, I wouldn't even know who to pick, bro. Because to be honest, like actually, you know what? That Avengers game that came out that flopped, I wouldn't have mind if that was an Xbox exclusive. I wouldn't have mind. I wouldn't have mind at all.
Because it flopped?
No, it's just because first off, like, all right, when you say an Avengers game, bro, first of all, when I think of an Avengers, especially from the first trailer before they even showed combat, it just gave me gimmick vibes. Because first of all, that's too many different playing styles for different characters. So that means you are going to have a very generic system to mold that world together.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, bro, like single player experiences are probably the best way how these characters thrive when you really look at it. Like, you know, even like the old X-Men Legends games, they were cool for the time, but when you play them now, they didn't really age too well, bro.
Yeah,
they really did. They really didn't. The only time where I feel like all these characters really shine is when you put them in a fighter.
Mm-hmm. The versatility of everyone's abilities don't translate as well when the roster is too big.
I think it's possible, man.
You asked.
Well, I mean, you guys have contrast opinions, or what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's mad possible. I think it would just introduce a new game style. Because when you say,
and keep in mind, crossplay is now a thing. So
the reason why we're so confident in it because we haven't seen it worked. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen it worked. If you're gonna put Hulk in this game, Hulk's gonna have to, be Hulk. So why even because my thing is like if you're not gonna put if you're not gonna solve problem A, problem B, we just haven't seen it work. That's why we just say it's not going to work.
We're gonna go back to what I told you on the past episode. Too many physics. It's too much.
Okay. I mean, that is. I think that's also the issue too, right? It's like
it's too many physics.
You can't. Obviously, it's like the mechanics. To Tim's point of like what makes Spider-Man in the Insomniac games. That doesn't just translate to any other game, right? No matter what combat system Black Panther ends up having, it's not going to be like, and then you just seamlessly switch to Black Panther and you're doing ground combat. Like there's certain mechanics that are put in play for, like Tim said, the single player experience.
Like for example, like Anthony, one of your favorite games from PS2 was Hulk Ultimate Destruction, bro. And the moment that you saw that Hulk trailer, you mentally tapped out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As soon as they showed Hulk and the Avengers, I was like, well, this game is a wash.
Yeah.
This game, Hulk indoors? Okay, yeah. Well,
yeah, because I'm like, wait, this is the Hulk that jumped from country to country? No, I mean, that was my whole thing,
uses
right?
cars as gloves? Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
The reason why they got us is because they had him in that canyon. So it fooled us.
Yeah. And they showed him jumping large.
Yeah, they had him in that canyon scene.
Clap, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, so it's But then when I'm getting done in by Zeta robots from the Batman Beyond universe, the factory makeshift Cadmus Labs robot, that wasn't working. But the reason you're right. The physics would be a problem. I guess we just don't have the technology or the manpower to do something like that, or the patience.
Okay.
Actually, you made a very fair point, the patience, because, bro, you got to realize whenever it comes to these, especially, it goes back to what we were talking about with anime, these particular products that cross from different industries, movies, games, comics, all that other stuff, release date matters, bro, because the moment that you release that hype into the air, people want it fast, bro. Mm-hmm. They want it fast. And then, we've seen today, what that causes, bro, endless amount of bugs. And especially like when more people get their hands on the game, and then especially when people play it to their own playing style, so many other kinks are like revealed, and it's like, bro, this is a broken game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yes, man, like, in terms of like, what we want with an open world experience or a more deeper character experience, like, yes, the physics really do matter. And honestly, we're still technically in a very sandbox era of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay. So I guess the consensus, because I agree with you guys. I think in theory, right? I think obviously it's inevitable that we're going to get more and more Marvel games, right? I think there'll be the MGU in the aspect of there will be multiple Marvel properties released as games, but the idea that they all kind of interconnect doesn't seem possible.
I only see Insomniac Zone doing it because, for example, I could definitely see Wolverine and Spider-Man teaming up, like, let's just say probably like a Mr. Sinister. Like, let's just say, because, he's always been known as a meta-human trafficker.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's new kids popping up with more powers, like, because even they bring back the connection to Mr. Negative, he's a Cloak and Dagger villain. And remember, Cloak and Dagger is like, sub-characters within the Spider-Man universe, well, Spider-Man's side of town, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a lot of interconnections that could actually do work. But then, of course, like, look what they're doing with Miles and Peter. It's like, yes, they play similar, but, they have different character aspects. So, like, let's just say if Wolverine and Spider-Man team up, Spider-Man is still his usual self, but Wolverine is, whenever we find out what the gameplay looks like.
Yeah.
I would, I don't, I mean, for me, I think it's dumb to have a Marvel property as exclusive to certain things, and I'm not saying that because it's just like we all are exposed to it openly, right? It's not like we have to go to this specific place to get it. So for Spider-Man being exclusive, it's just like it's not even like a heartbreaker because it's like, well, I guess it's just business. You know,
it's business, and I think because now we're a couple of years removed from it, we forget how much of a risk it was at the time, right? Like when there was announced that Sonic was making Spider-Man, it's like, yeah, people look at Sunset Overdrive, right? And they're like, okay, they know how to do physics and fast movement, but that was it. And Sonic is mostly known for Ratchet and Clank. They're not the first developer, or maybe in the top 5 when you think of like who wants to make a Spider-Man game, and it just happened to blow up. So you're right. There's not the idea of a superhero console exclusive sounds crazy now, but then it's just like, yo, we have multi-platform releases for all these games, and they all sold to various degrees.
Yeah, and it's like, what? And like, if I'm Marvel, why would I even sign that deal? I need to make as much money as possible.
You can't say Marvel anymore. So it's basically Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Disney, why would you do that? But, that's why, I mean, it never really bothered me that Spider-Man was exclusive. Because it's like, I could survive without a Spider-Man game. It's been years. I'll be okay. It's not like he's my favorite hero. So, yeah, it wasn't a big deal, I was like, man, I'm glad it has focus. I'm just glad it has focus because who knows, if another studio got his hands on that, we would probably be getting Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man movie game
again.
And yeah. And then we're not dealing with the Activision of old, right? The Tony Hawk Activision team, who they give us stuff we did not ask for.
Well, thankfully, Activision, they technically have the license still, right? Technically.
To
Spider-Man?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's just Sony and Insomniac directly now, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, but go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, classic Activision gave us Spider-Man games we didn't know we needed. I like the exploration. I like the idea, the concepts and stuff. But it just never like solidified. I think their last best game was Ultimate Spider-Man.
I would still say I think Web of Shadows was their last best game, personally.
Web of Shadows was cool, but it got wild, man. Like towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
Because everybody transforming into zombie symbiote, and it was just like the concept was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Right,
and not for nothing, we could talk about this because I know we're going to kind of touch on that point eventually. Like part of Insomniac's benefit was that they were able to pull from that. Like by the time you get towards the end of the game, like Sable and her enforcers, it is basically the same thing. The city's on fire. You're fighting guys with jetpacks. Like it wasn't too. I'm like, wonder where they got inspiration from this from. Like.
Okay. So would you guys be up for? Let's stay on topic. So,
I was just gonna say, all right. So again, we know MGU, probably not gonna be a real thing. Not really like a thing in terms of you'll get 4 or 5 superheroes that kind of get grouped together. I'll just shoot this idea out real quick, and then we'll kind of move on into our own different selections. But this idea that Insomniac is making both Spider-Man and Wolverine, right? Is there a developer that you guys would be comfortable making their own MGU? Like if Insomniac then announced Daredevil, for example, are you on board with one development or, one production team having access to so many IPs within Marvel?
Okay. Tim, go, man. I feel like the fire is there for Tim.
Okay, Daredevil would actually be very, very interesting. And I still have faith in them. I just wish they would have chose the right IP. Rocksteady. Like Rocksteady, I felt if they would have did the Dark Ninja Turtles universe, bro, which everybody was asking for, they would have been in a much better place. Because when I heard Suicide Squad, bro, it was literally Avengers all over again. Like it's too much. It's too many gameplay styles, that are not going to work. And look what happened. You got Fortnite for a trailer. And that is like,
the minute they showed King Shark with a gun, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
like especially like when it comes to like street level stuff, I feel like Rocksteady has delivered that because like bro, Arkham City and for the further extension, Arkham Knight delivered on that aspect, bro. Mm-hmm. They delivered.
I heard Origins is a low key popular game too.
It's a good game. It gets the unfair side of the stick because it's not Rocksteady, but Origins, it's a little glitchy. Don't get me wrong. Some of the gadgets are way overpowered. Solid story, solid game. But go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So I do feel like, if it was like, and that's why I say, like, putting Marvel in different categories, like Marvel Street, I definitely feel like Rocksteady could really deliver on that. Now, when in terms of like, Marvel Mutants, of course, Insomniac. Insomniac has that quirky world experience. Like when you really look at Ratchet, bro, Ratchet is one of the most detailed things you've ever played, bro. When you really look at story, gameplay mechanics, even when they went into the more darker alternate history, World War type of game of Resistance, like an alien race coming down and just basically bio changing your whole genes to them. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, like the mutant side of the story, and then of course what they did with Sunset Overdrive, cool.
Didn't they make Infamous Second Son?
No, that was Sucker Punch.
Okay. I see. I wish they would have made Black Panther, but
Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I don't see why. Because Infamous Second Son was a fire game.
You know what?
And it was a game. Yeah,
I could see it.
Yeah, because I mean, when I saw Infamous Second Son, I'm like, yo, this is a better Marvel game or a DC game that could have been. It could have easily been another character, right? But they gave us a game that we didn't even know we needed. And I have the game, and it's a legit story, it's a legit game.
Yeah, it was. It was until the end. Like the end, they did get kind of lazy with the budget. It was like, oh yeah, budget cut.
Yeah,
and that's it.
But
Sucker Punch is actually going to be one of my picks when we get into who should make what. For sure, based on what you just said.
Man, I almost forgot what I was gonna say.
Basically, we were talking about like, again, is there? Tim said that he would be okay with Insomniac kind of building their own MGU for mostly either, or I'd say mutant-related properties. Let's just say the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And the general question was, is there a game studio that you're like, if this person had to build their own MGU, who would I feel comfortable doing it? So Tim said Rocksteady for street level, Insomniac for mutants.
I'm torn, right? Because I really want a Guardian of the Galaxy too. Mm-hmm. What that team did with that game in particular, I see it can go so much further than it went within the concept of how they delivered. Because man,
they probably make a really good X-Men game, based on the whole
teamwork. But the thing is, I feel like it's so unique to Guardians of the Galaxy only because of what James Gunn did. I don't know how they would do that team aspect. They'll probably figure out a way, but it just hits more in Guardians of the Galaxy because Peter's so attached to his Walkman. Mm-hmm. that idea just fits Star-Lord and the Guardians so well, man. And the art direction, man. Like to what you said, that area is not explored before. Now, I guarantee you, if I'm a developer, I'm going to pull from that universe because it was for me peak. It made Marvel space different from Star Wars or Star Trek, or it made it really stand out. And I really would like that game to.
Square Enix did it, so I definitely. So what you're saying is you feel Square Enix can handle like Marvel space?
Yeah, like you want Square Enix to be the ones to handle. Let's just say the Nova Corps,
right?
Eidos Montreal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Eidos Montreal could definitely, because they released pretty good games. They did Tomb Raider, right?
Yes. I want to say yes.
Crystal Dynamics.
Oh.
Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal.
Didn't Eidos Montreal do something for Tomb Raider though, Tim?
Yeah, Eidos did something.
I think they did it. They were in the project together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Because to be real with you, Guardians of the Galaxy was not supposed to be as good as it was. It's one of those games where if you watch it, it's boring. But once you play it and you get further, you're like, yo, this game is actually not that bad.
Yeah, it does get a little bit more repetitive towards the end of the game because again,
because
there's only so many ways Star-Lord can shoot his gun. Yeah, that's just kind of it's just a side effect of just the one character, arguably the least interesting character in terms of gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, I mean they could have. There was many things they could have done with him.
1,000%.
1,000%.
They could have allowed him access to more guns. To be honest.
Yeah, different. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that would have been like, don't limit me to the blasters, right? Because that's a problem. And number one, I'm playing a video game. Give me options. Let's stop. But that's all. All that is evidence of Marvel prying their nose into creativity. Because I'm pretty sure they could have had Gamora be playable, Rocket be playable, Groot, and even Drax. But for whatever reason,
I could have seen more like Rocket, like any, because obviously they designed the game around gunplay mechanics. Yes. So it's like Rocket obviously is very similar. Maybe even Gamora to some degree. I don't think Drax or Groot would have worked in terms of they would have had to given it a lot more time. They would have given it more time to like really flesh out those movesets.
I think with Groot, man. Heal.
He works as an assist.
Heal whip, man. Blade sword. Wooden stick, you only catch it. Like you could do it. He's not doing a stretch, man. He's not doing anything too wild. Versus it's so much more tameable than having Thor show up.
No, 1,000%, right?
So like somebody with Mjolnir, like it's.
I think we're just talking in obviously very general terms, right? So like we kind of have to take them as for what it is. So like what you were saying about Marvel Space, like I said. A Captain Marvel game, right? That includes Nova and the Nova Corp, or the Fantastic Four, right? Where again, it's this team where you don't necessarily have to have every single character as a controllable character, right? You got Mr. Fantastic telling the Thing to punch through this wall, or telling Johnny to burn this up, or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like, what would you feel comfortable with? For me, again, I think Insomniac actually would do street level, in my opinion, pretty well, right? That's why I suggested Daredevil. I'm like, Daredevil, not for nothing, kind of has similar mechanics to Spider-Man. He's a far, far less interesting Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? He can technically swing through the city. He has stealth mechanics. He has his own senses. Like, it's not too much of a departure mechanics-wise for that character.
To be honest, especially after playing, like, Ghost of Tsushima, like, definitely Sucker Punch could pull off a Daredevil game, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They could
make it good. And make it really good.
Because the climbing mechanics in Ghost is what really, like, because you saw the Sly Cooper elements, and remember with Daredevil, he's human. Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, he still relies upon, like, navigating, all right, let me hold the pipe this way as I shimmy up this way. And then, obviously, since he is human, have a stamina meter. Like, because, that's one thing that they've always shown in his shows is, like, bro, the man be taking hits, bro. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you just been in a bloody bloodbath with some mobsters, like, have a stamina meter when you're climbing and stuff like that, like, you're actually in pain. You're actually in pain. And, you can't be prolonged on the monkey bars for like 20 minutes.
You're human, yeah.
Yeah, because you're human. So,
I would say that'd be, sorry, go ahead.
And then you could also add, like, snake meter elements when you had to do stuff to heal yourself, like, almost like remember like that movie Predator 2 when he had to like when he got shot up a lot, like he had to like hide somewhere and then actually perform actual surgery on himself to like to help out with his injuries, like, so things of that nature. I do feel like as you explore more into the lore, you could really pull in a lot of different elements that come along with it. So
and then the other studio, and you guys are going to have to help me on this because I'm just having a mental just blockage right now. The team behind Revengeance, and
Platinum Games.
Platinum Games. Thank you, Tim. My goodness, I was just blanking. If we were looking to make, some of the more supernatural, I don't even say supernatural, but more of the kind of like B tier, but also popular enough, right? Like imagine Blade, but with Revengeance mechanics. Or imagine a Punisher game, but with Vanquish mechanics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think Platinum Games, granted it depends on what Platinum Games we're getting, right? Because Platinum Games quality now has been
listen.
It's either Legend of Korra or
Rockstar and Punisher.
I thought about that, but we don't want Rockstar to make it. No. We'll never get it.
No, Rockstar.
No. I mean, they did do Max Payne, right?
Yeah.
Max Payne 3?
They did, and Max Payne 3 is a very underrated game, but
yeah.
So you don't want them to make
no. Because I do feel like they stick to their system of games too strictly. Because when you really look at GTA's, and I would say specifically the shooting mechanics, bro, Max Payne, Red Dead, GTA, the shooting mechanics are very much the same, bro. Very much the same. Punisher, I feel they would truly, it would be very, very lackluster because one thing you also got to consider about the Punisher has a lot of CQC. Like he has bro, like season 2 on Netflix, bro, the man, when he fought literally 4 people in a bathroom, bro, like basically grab somebody's head and just bash their head with the top of the toilet and just disintegrated their skull. Like, come on. You need and that's where the physics mechanics are going to be very but you know what game it was actually it goes back to Square Enix. Remember they did Sleeping Dogs had a very hardcore that type of combat.
That game was so good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
so that's what I said, bro. I do feel like Square Enix, when they put their minds to it, bro, they have some room to really cover, bro. But yeah, Platinum Games for a Blade game, yes.
Right? I'm like, it just makes sense.
Blade. Man, that'll be amazing. I didn't think about that, man. I'm thinking more about like the American studio.
Yeah, no, but you did make a good point, like Marvel Supernatural, like because I'm thinking about like even in terms of like, a Doctor Strange and the mechanics of like you want whirling, twirling magic. You don't just want beam, 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 beam. You don't want that.
Yeah.
So like Marvel Supernatural, like like Blade, Doctor Strange, and even Ghost Rider to an extent.
Respawn.
Respawn will make a good
Doctor
game.
Strange?
Yeah.
Respawn. Hulk.
Well, I had to make sure I gave the studio their props before we get into this topic. I wanted to sound educated enough. We're not gonna get into, our 2 characters that we would like to see get the modern current gen cycle game. I'll go first. Yes, Dory, my first pick is Hulk. Yes, I want Radical Entertainment, who made Ultimate Destruction, who gave us other amazing games like Prototype 1 and 2. I need them to do it again. Let's talk about it, right? PS2 era, right? You're looking for games to play, right? You have your fighters, of course. You have your single player stories. We got the greatness out of Spider-Man 2. We're getting all these PS2 games, and I'm in GameStop, and I think it was used at that point. I was like, oh, the Incredible Hulk. I'm like, all right, I like the character. I like the show growing up. I think he's a really cool character. Let me just kind of see what this is about. Put in the game. Grabbing helicopters out the sky. Tossing tanks.
Power driving the helicopters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Even in the first couple of levels, you already get the established tier of like what can hurt you, what can't. You have the military, they're shooting their guns, and your health is just not moving. It's not moving. And you're just like, you're scaling buildings, you're breaking cars apart. There was a rumor that I thought was true. I don't really see any reason why not to, where it's the Incredible Hulk movie, the part where he fights the Abomination and slams the cars together was inspired by Ultimate Destruction. They got the idea from that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it was never confirmed though. No one ever said like, yes, that's where we got this from.
Oh no, it's 100%.
It's pretty obvious. Yeah.
the fact that he was fighting abominations, it was a testament.
Who is the villain in the game? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dog, so I remember fighting the abomination for the first time at the power plant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, man. Banner, you think you got what it takes. You know the cheesy lines of Activision. Of
course,
man. Yeah. So he points at me, and I'm like, so let's do it, right? So now I jump in the air, I'm ready to get my smack on, and then Abomination jumps in the air. Matrix slams me into the wall like Mr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Then Body slams me John Cena style, F you.
None of your mechanics are working.
Oh my God.
Nothing is working. You've done the clapping for survival at this point.
I
like, oh God.
I thought I was
run away.
Wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh man. It was just, and then you wasn't expecting Hawk to be able to catch the missile that Abomination's throwing at you. And you throw it right back and it's just like, and y'all back and forth. Wasn't there a part where y'all was throwing something back and forth and it was going faster and faster?
Yeah. Actually, that might have been from a Lego game. I could be wrong. Lego did that too.
Well,
where you're like,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But just man.
Yeah. Radical Entertainment. Again, for people who don't know, like I said, if you guys have ever played Prototype 1 or Prototype 2, they basically took the exact same mechanics from Hulk and put it in HD, and it was amazing. Now, to be fair, given the storyline of Prototype in particular, I would need a different writing team for that Hulk game. I don't think Prototype, especially Prototype 2, did not have a very strong story, which was unfortunate. I think it's a far better game than Prototype, but people were differently. They're like, Prototype 1 is a real one because it had a better story.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, they dropped the ball on. You made Alex Mercer the villain, which was a genius, right? But the protagonist was Paper Cutter.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this because my family. You know, I'm like, dog. It was not. It was not. I remember one of my friends giving the critique. He said, "Jory, dog, playing the game, I'm gonna go on the mother rampage," and I'm just like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work, man. Mm-hmm. This is not gonna work, dog."
He was basically everything that they give the critiques for Barrett in Final Fantasy of. Like, Barrett is not the stereotype you think he is. The protagonist in Prototype 2 is the stereotype you think he is. He is the like you said, the copy cutout, paper cutout of Mr. T in all of the worst ways, but none of the charisma.
Which is fine. The character in Prototype 2?
2.
Oh, but yeah, you could clearly see that Barrett is Mr. T.
No, but I'm saying you can do Mr. T right. That's what I'm saying. Barrett is Mr. T right.
Yeah.
Prototype 2, he was Mr. T done wrong. Very, very wrong. So that would be my thing. Like, I think Radical Entertainment would be perfect. I think obviously they understood the Hulk right out the gate. You know, it was a character I was interested in, but didn't, necessarily. I didn't have like any attachment to him. And Ultimate Destruction made me care. Did it make me care. So yeah, that Radical Entertainment would be my pick. In terms of my second choice, I understand, I get it. We're already making an Iron Man game. No one's announced the developer, studio head for it. But Jory, to your point earlier, I think Sucker Punch would be perfect for an Iron Man game. And Infamous gave me that idea. The almost like reticle style aiming makes perfect sense for his repulsor blast. Cole at some point could essentially fly. I mean, he could levitate, but he could fly. You know what I'm saying? He's zipping along the lines. Like they've proven their ability to handle massive open world games with mobility, right? So you could handle his flight. Shooting mechanics are already there. Granted, they didn't always have the best like hand-to-hand combat, but Iron Man's not really a hand-to-hand fighter, right? He is. I mean, that would be an interesting take, right? Iron Man with a combat system, Iron Man with some type of like hand-to-hand combat training. But I think in terms of a company that would get it out the gate, Sucker Punch, pulling heavily from their Infamous origins, I think would give us a great Iron Man game. Plus, to me, they've written very quality stories in their run. Ghost of Tsushima, being a masterclass in good writing. So that would be my two picks. Radical Entertainment for another crack of Hulk, and then Sucker Punch for an Iron Man game.
Is Radical Entertainment still around? What have they done lately?
I don't know. I don't know.
Or
I guess whoever that made up that team, get as much of them together as possible. Freelance if you need to, please.
The gaming industry doesn't, unless you're Kojima or, I don't know anyone who's reached that caliber of where like, yo, we're gonna give you everything you asked for and more. Status.
Santa Monica Studios.
Santa Monica, yes, but that's only because the people who were key components into the God of War franchise.
Yeah, of course. I think if they were like, if we want to do a Marvel game, Sony would be like, absolutely, let's tell us which one.
I would be interested, to be honest with you, if for a Marvel game, another Marvel game, that'd be dope.
Well, actually, they got bought by Activision.
Radical Entertainment?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's part of the whole Activision acquisition as well. Yeah, because Activision is their parent company.
Hulk Ultimate Destruction 2 coming to Xbox exclusive. You heard it here first on the Gamer Podcast.
I believe green. Anyway.
Hulk Ultimate Destruction 2 exclusively on Xbox. Green console, green mascot.
I mean, it would have more of an impact if Xbox's PR team had the old infrastructure back, the edgy Xbox. This one is just too family.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just saying in terms of like, now it all makes sense. They've been planning this for years.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. I think the Santa Monica would do a good Thor game, man.
Okay.
You want a Thor game?
I would. Yeah, I don't. You know who did Thor the best though?
I would throughout the 9 realms with the whole Frost Giants and everything. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at that either. Like, it's only because Thor's not a boring character because I've seen him in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I think that's the best version of Thor. I think that's my favorite version of Thor, even though they can just, of course, tone it up more, make it a little bit more mature. But I think Chris Hemsworth, before it going the direction it did, was a very good pick for Thor. He was his best in the. Oh, you were chopping up for a little bit.
Oh, I said before the Thor franchise became a stand-up comedy?
Yeah, because, man.
Sorry, you say he was his best in, I don't mean to.
He was his best in Avengers, Infinity War.
I mean, I know you didn't really care for Ragnarok, but I'm like, you don't get Infinity War Thor without Ragnarok Thor.
But Ragnarok
Thor is not exclusive.
Waste.
They're not exclusive. I understand he was maybe a little bit too childish in that movie, but you don't get that nuance without Ragnarok existing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Thor's a hard character to write. I think most people just don't want to like him. And I guess the Norse mythology aesthetic is just not as appealing as it would as other mythologies are, you know.
But I think the Marvel version of it is not too. I think because I'm with you. I think that the characters are there, right? Obviously, Loki continues to be a draw, right? I think again there is the aspect of the realms and how different they are. The dynamics of his relationship with his sister. Right, and her being the denizen of hell. Like, there's so many things you could do, you know, with these Marvel-ized concepts of Norse mythology that would be, I think, would be really cool.
But I do feel like in Thor's case, it is going to follow a lot of what happened in the movies because, first of all, you already know the first game is going to be Loki-centered.
Yes.
Loki-centered. I do foresee the Dark Elves coming into play. Because especially, like, I do feel like, the concept, keep it in Thor's realm, of course. So the Frost Giants, Loki finding his true origins, blah, blah, blah. Maybe a Hela cameo because you have to go to her realm. things of that nature. You know, the dark elves. Um, and then of course, like for an end game type of closer, and this is what I really disliked Love and Thunder was how they treated Gore. Like, bro, Gore in the comics is basically on the equivalent of like Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, he affects you psychologically. Like, he really made Thor really question the gods. Like, yeah, the gods exactly who I told you who they are. And then he starts to see the reality in that. So, like, yes, I do foresee
Thor a better character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. I mean, so I do foresee like, yeah, it is going to be movie linear-ish, I would say, because you're going to see a lot of familiar elements. But I do feel like there is area for growth, I would say. I will give it that respect.
Yeah. I guess, Troy, why would you want Santa Monica to do it? Is it just because they did Norse mythology already?
It's because I mean, I guess, you know, I'll take. They would have to do. I'll take that back because they did Norse mythology already. They would have to. They would have to definitely revamp. It would have to be completely different from how they.
Did Thor or just did Norse mythology in general with God of War.
The problem with Thor is that he can fly. So it's my only thing. How would you?
I don't think that's a problem at all.
No. I mean, so if he's flying, he would need a world to fly in. You know. So. Okay. So
to me, and again, they kind of get overlooked, understandably so, because of who the target audience is. But I'm like, if the Lego Marvel series can figure it out, these big budget studios can figure it out.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I can effectively play as Spider-Man, the Human Torch, Thor, and the Hulk in Lego, and they make more sense than some of these mechanics I've seen in these bigger blockbuster games. Telltale Games got it like that. They got your guys figured out like that. Yeah. You can't figure out how to make them fly. One character.
Yeah, and then Iron Man was in there as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doing Iron Man things.
Repulsor blasts. Laser
repulsor blast. That's why I'm saying this. That's why I believe it's possible. But I guess I understand to this point the physics is restricted. I mean, we're not too far. We're not too far from getting the supercomputer, guys. So we're right there, man. We got AI units coming out now, so the AI will be doing stuff for us.
Yeah, to some degree. I'm sure there's going to be there'll be an Unreal Engine 5 AI loadout.
Fighting games are going to be, nobody's going to be complaining about fighting the CPU anymore.
It will run as it goes and adjust to your tactics.
Oh, Justin Wong did this at 0.35 milliseconds. The Daigo answer, whatever.
What will be your second?
I think let me see, who was character?
So you said, I guess, studio undecided, but a Thor game, and then your second choice would be what?
For a Thor game?
No. Remember, I said two choices. You have two characters you can pick.
Okay.
And a studio to attach them to. What would be your second choice?
Second choice for a character. I don't really know who I like besides in Marvel. Let me see. Blade would probably be on the pick. Give me some characters, man. I can't think of it.
I'm gonna go to Tim.
Yeah, go to Tim.
Well, to be honest, Insomniac has already answered like that for me, like in terms of like Spider-Man and Wolverine. You know, I'm still hopeful that Wolverine's gameplay holds up and then it's actually a very good mature level. But to be honest, bro, I would definitely love to see another Marvel-ish fighter. Like no Street Fighter characters, just like give us all like Marvel world characters, Marvel Street, Marvel Space, Marvel Supernatural, things of that nature. Like, and I would definitely love to see Arc System Works do it.
Okay.
Because I do feel that's a lot of characters you can pull from, man. It really is. Like mutants, galactic beings, things of that nature. And I really feel like it could actually be done right.
Okay. Okay, so Arc System Works making a Marvel-based fighter. I mean, I guess my only question, or I guess potential pushback, would be, given Arc Systems Works notorious run of limited rosters, you know, who makes that 18 count or that 12 count really? Only them, 16 tops.
Yeah, see, that's another good point. I mean, I definitely feel we could probably use that for another episode because like I said, NetherRealm did say like they chose Mortal Kombat 1 instead over Injustice 3 because if they didn't, the next Mortal Kombat wouldn't have came out probably for like another 4 to 7 years. So I definitely do feel like well actually no, NetherRealm can't do it because that's basically WB, so that's counterproductive.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Boon's been, I guess, pioneering for it. Like, apparently, he's had talks with Disney and Marvel over the past couple of years about potentially doing something with Marvel characters. So it's not entirely off the table. But you're right; NetherRealm technically is owned by Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want that, man.
I don't necessarily want it either. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. Marvel.
I don't really want to see NetherRealm's take on Marvel
Spider-Man.
characters.
Ew.
Yeah, in a fighting game.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I actually Arc System Works is very flashy, and I do feel with the Marvelous flat, especially when you really get to the prime years of Marvel vs. Capcom, it was just flashy, but it was beam. So yeah, I definitely do feel like Arc System Works could definitely deliver on that. It's just the roster.
Yeah.
God's Spare Life.
And do you have a second choice?
No, to be honest, bro, like I said, Spider-Man and Wolverine have always been my favorites, man. I would definitely like to see what more happens with them. But if I could say another character, I definitely would love definitely a street level Daredevil. I did feel, to be honest, I never really knew of Daredevil. Like I remember, his first cameo, like in the animated Spider-Man series, and then the Ben Affleck movie happened. But then what really captured me, bro, was that Netflix series, bro. Like, and I'm specifically saying season 1 and 3 specifically.
You didn't like season 2?
The only part that I liked about season 2 was the part when him and the Punisher were on the roof talking about morality. Other than that, everything was pretty mid to me. Like, no, but see, it's storytelling wise. Like, he's like Lily on the roof. He's like, "What makes you better than me? You like just because I don't dress up like you really feel like you have a higher sense of morality than me? Because last time I checked, you beat them up. They get back on the street within 2 weeks. I get to them and then they stay down. Families are saved. Nobody has less people are dead. So and he's like, I'm not even doing this to be a hero. So what are really your motivations?
Okay. I thought season 2.
So season 1 and season 3, like especially season 3, he really questioned a lot like his spirituality because that was something that was always driving him. But since that was broken, it was like, who is he now as a person? And then of course, with the whole doppelganger with Bullseye came into the picture, there was a lot. It was a lot of conflicts, man, and it just it ended so beautifully. Mm-hmm. It ended so beautifully. So hopefully he doesn't get Disney-fied for Born Again.
I take back the Thor. I know what 2 games I would want.
Okay.
First one would be an Iron Fist game.
By who?
The guys that made Sifu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Or the guys that made Yakuza.
I would say Sleeping Dogs.
I was gonna say Sleeping Dogs would have been my pick.
Yeah.
The reason why is because you're gonna need to add the supernatural element because he's grounded but he's powerful, so it's gonna be a lot of.
But bros, Yakuza, it's no, trust me, Yakuza is a beautiful universe, but the gimmickiness of Sega.
No, I think it's fine because they did do Fist of the North Star.
Give it to Sifu.
I mean, I think because for me that'd be I'll still those are my two.
Yeah.
The second game would be Silver Surfer.
Excellent choice. Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
By who?
I would want the artist, the art direction of the what's his name? Of the artist that did the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
And I would want I think I would settle for that team to do it. Or Sucker Punch.
Well, they would have to draw in a lot of comic influence, bro, because I can't even tell you a Silver Surfer villain other than Galactus.
Which is fine. Like I think that's when I think a game will someone like Sucker Punch would flourish the most, because they have now a story to tell.
Sucker Punch. Nah, bro. Sucker Punch, when you kind of look at it, bro, they do follow a certain formula. Like when you could really tell the connections between Sly Cooper, Infamous, and Ghost. Like you could really see the mechanics are built on those core mechanics that they built from the PS2 era. Like I get what you mean in terms of like a story to tell, but
it would tell a good story.
But how it would play.
I was just about to say that. Like my whole thing, I'm still hung up on gameplay mechanics, and maybe it's my ignorance of not knowing enough about Silver Surfer. I mean, I just don't know enough. I'm just like, how would that even work?
Yeah, because to be honest, the only time I ever saw Silver Surfer in battle mode was when he fought Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then he had Mjolnir, and then he had the Annihilation Wave with him. Like, so but then that's deep. That's
right. That's
deep.
You kind of just like him traveling from star system to star system will be Hub World.
So basically, No Man's Skies.
No, well, I'm not gonna say No Man's Sky. That's not really a good.
Whoa, bro. I mean, no. You gotta put respect on No Man's Skies now, bro.
Now, after how long?
But then, when you're talking about Silver Surfer, that's basically what he did for Galactus. He just went from world to world, like.
Well, we would give him his own,
he'll like probably, what?
Like, for me, I can't reveal too much because it'll tie into what I would do for my universe. So. I would have to stay quiet on this.
It's No Man's Skies, bro.
I think.
Yeah, or like I'm thinking like style over substance. Like you would do like an on the rail shooter where like again he's navigating through space, he's shooting things down. Like I don't know how do you make a combat system? No, it would have to be a Asura's Wrath. Like it would essentially have to play like Asura's Wrath.
Not exactly. You would have combos. That's a little
for
wild.
me, I'm like again, like I think the story would be cool. It'd almost be like it would be Cameo City in terms of the Marvel characters that would pop up in the storyline. But I'm just thinking in gameplay, like how does a Silver Surfer game?
Gonna be wild.
You know what I'm saying? That would kind of be that's a hard sell right there.
That's like a VR experience. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bro. His powers is tied to the board. He kind of has to be on the board to do anything.
Oh man. So let me look at my collection here. You think?
All right. In the meantime, we'll do one last subject for the night and then kind of wrap things up. No need to make this ultra long concept for this particular podcast, but we're a couple days away from Comic-Con, right? We're assuming that there will be some level of new information, if not a new trailer, for Spider-Man 2. There's going to be a couple of panels dedicated to that. Granted, will the actors show up at this point due to the strike? Probably unlikely. But I'm sure they had something planned out. Is there anything that you guys are still looking forward to see concept-wise, gameplay-wise? I know for me, I think, again, Insomniac does a really good job of taking older concepts and improving on it, right? So I think that we're going to see a lot more Web of Shadows influence moving forward in terms of whether it be, I don't want to say like like I'm not at that point in the game like, oh, let's guess who the final person is in the Venom suit, right? I don't want to go into that kind of deep dive, but I think some concepts of even playing around with the idea of can we do some of the symbiote offsprings in this game, and I don't mean in terms of like let's introduce like Carnage. I just mean like kind of how Web of Shadows, where it's like people kind of got a bit of the symbiote on them, right? You have Kraven's minions who are a little bit more influenced by it and enhanced by it, where it's like Peter starts to see the influence of allowing the symbiote to be around too long, where it starts to have an effect on everything else. Even the idea of once he does inevitably part with it, right? Is there a way in which do we see symbiote Miles? Do we see what's her name? The cop that Wraith? Could she have access to the symbiote for a point to kind of be like how Flash Thompson was, where he was kind of like the symbiote soldier thing, where he had enhanced powers using the symbiote, but he was mostly like more military trained. Like I think the symbiote storyline, even though it's kind of been overdone at this point, I think there's a lot of interesting ways Insomniac could take it that I would not be opposed to seeing if we're going this route.
What is Venom's villain name in the Venom movie?
Carnage.
No, the other one, the first one.
Oh, what was his name? I don't know. I'll look it up while you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting twist if he showed up, and because he's completely different from Venom, as a little side story or side quest, maybe that'd be cool.
I don't think that would happen, bro. Because first of all, because the way how that Venom movie worked, it was more about like the actual alien versus the actual like Eddie Brock type of person. Like you made the suit like symbiote like a very like a gimmick type of character. Like, oh, he's like the scourge of his land. He's a nobody.
No, don't take that inspiration from me.
No, but then see, that's the thing where it kind of goes. Like, I do feel like when it came to Spider-Man, the Venom persona was more Eddie Brock's or like whoever the person was wearing his rage towards Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's where like most of that really did shine. The symbiote just wanted somebody to somebody that it could really like bond with for that exact simple thing. In terms of what I would like to see, I would definitely like to see like more of the continuity, especially from like the first game in Miles, like I said with Rafe. And when you saw the Kraven trailer, you saw basically all the little character heads of people from the previous games and where are they now? Like, and right before his face showed, you did see Taskmaster. So like, you got two very, very complex characters in the same city. Mm-hmm. So how does that come? Is Taskmaster, is he just going to be these side character again? Does he play a little bit much more of a bigger role? Because now, like, just like, like what Kraven symbolizes, now you're in the concrete jungle. It's wild. It's wildness. It's madness out here.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how does that madness truly play out in a sense? I do feel like if another symbiote does come, like, to go back onto your point that you made a few months ago, Anthony, I do feel like, an absolute Carnage storyline with Norman, where he becomes the Red Goblin. I could definitely see that happening.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Because honestly,
it's a really good story.
That's a really good storyline, bro. Because like that, you just literally took the Green Goblin and just gave him cocaine, bro. You just like that was wildness, bro. Wildness. Like, just the design alone is like menacing. Just menacing.
Mm-hmm. All I thought it was really from Metroid Prime, just painted red with fire.
I mean, well, it's Carnage, bro. Like red is what you're gonna get. Like,
no, I mean, for me, Goblin was Ridley from Metroid Prime. That's what he reminded me. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think in terms of just like the idea of having like, obviously, right, with Venom it was more like the bulk, right? Carnage was more like the blades and the weapons and being able to make swords and things like that. I think having Carnage enhanced
his arsenal.
Yeah.
like to the point where like certain of the old weaknesses didn't even work anymore. So like, and he needed multiple Spider-Man to like help fight this fight. Like you had Miles, you had Silk, you had Flash Thompson, but then of course with this game all you have is really Miles.
Mm-hmm.
So that would actually be very interesting to see.
Okay, I mean I'm not you know what, since it's a Spider-Man game, I wouldn't be opposed to it because they've proven me. I mean their storyline direction is great, so I'm all for it.
With the exception of that Hammerhead DLC. But go ahead. Because they turned into Terminator.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
She's a cyborg?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the one thing about that Spider-Man game that I feel like it should have respected, like you should have respected Spider-Man's street elements. Like, because when you look at the Spider-Man animated series, yes, he had mutant level stuff, but then he also had street level stuff like Daredevil. And that's where they came together on certain aspects when you were dealing with the Kingpin, Tombstone. Like, yeah, bro, like I did feel like that. Yeah, that cyborg fight, that was like,
yeah. Okay. I would have rather they have, honestly, like as quote unquote cliche as it would have been, I would have preferred him have been in a mech. Then if that's the route they wanted to go, then to turn him into a cyborg. Like I get it, like Hammerhead in and of himself is not that threatening. He has an unbreakable skull. What did he do? But him turning into a robot was just like, this is kind of stupid.
Is Mysterio in the Spider-Man game?
Not yet.
Mm-mm.
And Hydro Man?
No, Hydro Man has not been in any Spider-Man game, I don't think.
I don't know how Spider-Man. Number one, I gotta go watch those episodes to see how he beat Hydro Man. Because to me, I thought it was over once I found out Buddy was water.
There's a lot of plot convenience, a lot of
okay, because you fight
conveniently conveniently placed cement, conveniently placed, like things where it's just like, oh man, look, I'll just crank up the heat in this room.
Yeah, like good luck, man. And Sandman's another problem. Like,
yeah,
how do you beat that?
How do you beat particles?
I do foresee characters like that definitely in the future.
Definitely. Do you guys think this will be a more symbiote focused game though? Do you feel like, to your point, Tim, do you think we're going to get any more of the Rose Gallery in this game outside of the symbiotes in Kraven?
It's too early to tell because I do feel like, the Kraven announcement makes a lot of sense. I do feel we'll get some continuity from the last game, some level of continuity. Like, yeah, we probably don't bring Rhino back. Just don't bring Rhino back.
Especially at the Miles Morales, please.
Yes, don't bring.
Wait, it was trash?
No, it was good, but
once he's done,
you realize it's your fourth time fighting Rhino, cyber enhanced Rhino. It's like we've done all we can here.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but then I definitely for example, I would like to see Shocker again, bro. I do feel like Shocker is a very overlooked part of the Sinister Six group or something like that. I do feel like, in most continuities or shows or developments, he's always pushed to the side after one particular brawl.
Confrontation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Because you could definitely see this series is definitely going to go to the the Spider-Verse level. I foresee it happening because people are going to want that itch. They want it.
I was gonna set that question after we got Jory's side, but I'm like, I don't want that.
Kind of like how they did Shattered Dimension, because to be honest, the way Shattered Dimension handled especially Spider-Man Noir, how he had that fight with Hammerhead, bro, that was beautiful.
It made perfect sense for that.
It made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I said, you don't really have to change too much of people's particular fighting style, this and that and the third.
You know what made me kind of think that was kind of possibly going multiverse when they showed off the web wings. as a traversal mechanic. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah,
oh
it's
no, they're
it's
gonna
coming.
introduce Miguel O'Hara. Oh no,
It's coming. It's coming, bro.
yeah.
Because like you already got the ultimate, the symbiote version of Spider-Man with this one with with the tendrils. Like, bro, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, we getting a Spider 2099.
No, I would say like more like a shattered dimension, like
Yeah.
shattered. Yeah, like you're gonna get a multi Spider-Man. Like, cause like, look, they just put Miles in. Like, it's bound to happen, bro.
We
Spider,
haven't think
Spider.
about it. We haven't really been. Although to be fair, I haven't really checked the collectibles in the game, so maybe it was mentioned. I didn't read it. I don't recall Gwen Stacy being brought up as of yet within the Insomniac continuity.
Please keep her out,
or keep her in as Spider Gwen.
I hate that concept so much, man. Like, I never liked the character.
I like the character.
I like the character.
I just don't want it in Insomniac's game.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, like, let Spider-Man be Spider-Man, you know? I mean, I'm tired of this
They probably would add her in as, like I said, when they do like a shattered dimension style. Like I do foresee it happening, bro. Spider Gwen, bro.
Because especially if you look at the rebranding of Spider-Man as of late, especially in Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like anyone can wear the mask, and they reiterate that and reiterate that and reiterate that. I was like,
you ruined your franchise when you do that.
You run the risk.
Anybody can be Superman. Anybody can be Batman.
You run the risk because it dilutes the
anybody can be Iron Man. Anybody can be Thor.
Yeah. It takes a step. It steps on what makes that person special. You know, like it's the morality. It's the emotional intelligence. It's, you know, like there's certain concepts of the character themselves that cause them to stand out. You'd be like, oh, if anybody had spider powers, they would do what Peter did. It's like, no, they wouldn't. No, they would not.
I mean, that's my whole problem with what the state of Marvel right now and DC and all these other properties.
It's just all broad strokes. Yeah, but what would your team be, Jordan, in terms of like trailer? If there's a trailer, what would you hope to see
in the Spider-Man game?
Yeah.
Man, I do enjoy Spider-Man cameos, man. That's just sometimes a seat for me why I would always play a Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
The camera would always hit right, man. I never knew I was gonna see Luke Cage in a game, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I enjoyed seeing him in the game. I enjoyed when I saw Blade pop up out of nowhere to fight Morbius.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Morbius. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Morbius is gonna be in this game because it would just, I think, throw the trajectory of the storyline off.
Yeah, I don't see them going supernatural.
Only if Morbius is what Morbius is probably a discovery that Craven found and was like, oh, because I think Craven was chasing Morbius in the original animation, right? First Blade, and then
Blade was.
At first it was Blade, then when Morbius came back a second time, it was Craven, right, or no?
Oh, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay, but anyway. I remember that. I enjoy the cameos. What am I really hoping to see? Oh man, I don't know what to expect really, man. I'm pretty much just taking a seat. I don't know what I would. Doc Ock is a thing, right?
Yeah.
You fight in the game already.
Mm-hmm. In the first game.
So you know that's already a done storyline. Let me see. I can't really think of anybody else. Silver Sable.
But is it villains though? Like, you know, in terms of like, there's nothing you guys would want to see like gameplay mechanic wise.
I would.
When the inevitable Wolverine cameo shows up, are you going to be surprised?
I would like to see. I wish that Spider-Man would be able to like luge on his web.
Sure.
Like slide on his web as a quick traverse travel or something like that.
It's not a bad idea, but I think the only reason why I said I don't think that would be very likely is because they already showcase off again the web wings, and then the fact that he can now pull between two buildings to kind of launch himself. Like they've already given him more like
traversal,
traversal mechanics.
But like kind of like a trampoline style. You ever seen those type of walkers or whatever? Something cool like that. I don't know. Where he could probably just zip two things together. I would like to see that mechanic.
Okay. More cool. In-depth web mechanics.
Physics.
But I think they could do physics.
Yeah,
and like if you look at, for example, like Spider-Man 2 on the PS4, the fact that you could web up a guy's foot and hang over a light pole and then jump up and continue to wail on him. If they could do it on the PS2, they could do it on the PS5. There's things you could do with webs.
No, I just taunting Jory because that's all you want is physics. That's all you
right. He's like a Spider-Man kicking somebody out of a car while also saving a screaming baby. I don't want it.
I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of fire though.
I know you.
You know what I want? I want a pizza delivery mission, man. Yeah.
That in a trailer? For the trailer. We're talking about the trailer. Yeah.
Oh no, that's wild. That's wild. For the trailer, I don't know, man. I mean, it's for me, it's on a good track. I mean, yeah, I'm not really. I don't know. He can. Okay. I would want. Spider-Man to be able to actually swim.
Why?
It's so stupid that you just, like just have it.
Why?
I mean, brief water combats would be cool, but I guess Spider-Man's not really a water element. But like, sliding onto the boats, that was cool. Like water skiing, that's a cool mechanic. That'd be cool.
So your thing is like you like to see just more traversal as well.
Yeah, just more traversal. It don't even have to be like because it's just like I hate when my flow gets disrupted when I'm playing as Spider-Man, and now when I go over water, I gotta kind of play, kind of like it ruins my movement. I wish he could probably just luge for a little bit through the momentum of swinging, and they'll probably find something to jump off of or whatever, jump onto. Giving him enough time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, continuous movement. I always hated that.
I think for me, and after this, I mean, unless Tim has something else, we can just kind of wrap it up. I think for me, I will want to see more counter-based combat in this next trailer. I think in terms of the Spider Sense mechanic in the game, it's fine. Right, in the first game, like it does what it needs to do. He can dodge missiles, he can dodge bullets, he can dodge punches, but it's very simple, right? It's like if you're fighting a brawler, you got to slide under him. If you're fighting somebody who has a crowbar for some reason, you can't punch through it. Like you have to uppercut them into the air. I would like to see more nuance, in particular for Peter, right? Because I think what they did really well with Miles is that Miles can just venom blast his way through anything, basically by trying to get to the end of the game. He can turn invisible. He can electrocute the floor. But Miles is very diverse offensively, right? So I feel like with Peter, if you could have a more specific where it's like it's not just circle, but it's circle and left stick, and that he can maybe I won't say weave, but because kind of do a different counter, right? It's not just like dodge out the way. It's just like he can do a immobilization attack, right? Like a circle triangle or a circle square does something else, or a circle X does something like just something that shows Again, Peter has been Spider-Man longer, and I think there needs to be more to show. Yes, Miles might have arguably better powers, but it's the Sasuke argument, right? With Itachi, it's like, yeah, you have these eyes, but a better trained rock is better than any Dose Shuriken type thing. Where it's like if I have the ability to, if I'm better at this than you are, I can do more nuanced things. So Peter being able to do more nuanced things with his spider powers to me, I think would be cool.
Setting up traps would not be a part of that. Or would that?
Only
like
if it's
hunting missions.
Only if it's something where it's like it's not repetitive, right? So like one of the things that was always I guess iconic in the comics, right, is that Spider-Man could do basically what Batman did in Batman Returns, right, where he shoots the web past the guy, hits like the wall, and then pulls the wall to hit him from behind. If they could do things like that in the game, I don't know how realistic it is given like Tim said, physics, right? I don't know how realistic that is, but if they could do things where again Peter is showing off his genius intellect, right, with setting traps, I'm for it.
You know what I liked about Spider-Man 2? Why I enjoyed Spider-Man 2's combat, I didn't have to wait for a reaction from the enemy.
Yeah, because it was like a mode you could toggle.
Yeah, right? No, Spider-Man 2.
No, I know. It's a mode. You have the dodge button, right? And then I think it was like on the D-pad, you could literally turn on Spider Sense and slow down time.
Yeah, that was cool. I kind of hope that makes a more modernized, interesting version of that. That'd be cool. But I'm gonna go on a side note. After watching the Vulture in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie that just dropped, that Vulture is more interesting than the current Vulture. I was so disappointed. I was shocked and blown away. That fight was he was a legit threat.
Yeah, but that's only because I was shooting Insomniacs and Bale. Let's just call it for what it is. They were the first game to actually pull off the Sinister Six, and it wasn't going to be perfect. None of the other games that we played in any other Spider-Man game so far has been able to pull off that variety of villains as well as they did. I didn't expect to enjoy that Vulture Electro fight as much as I did. You know what I'm saying? Like
Electro was the fire one, man. That was the best Spider-Man 2 game, man.
No, but what I'm saying is like in terms of like going back to just like a game, like I think I agree with you, right? I don't think they did enough with the Sinister Six in the Spider-Man game, but they pulled it off. It didn't feel like it was too little, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The that's the only thing I had about didn't really enjoy too much of the Spider-Man mechanic. It reminded me too much of Batman. I wanted Spider-Man to be a little different. I understand Spider-Man does have the Spidey sense, but I felt like it gave Spider-Man more options than just to counter, more than anything. You know?
Would you guys want to see super attacks? And when I mean super attacks, I mean like room clearing, like almost like Maximum Spider style from Marvel vs. Capcom, just like him bouncing around and just knocking out everybody.
If and only if it involves skill versus me just pressing the meter. If I earn it,
I mean, you might earn the meter buildup.
Oh, I mean, okay, if it's a satisfying one, then I wouldn't mind. If it's like Bayonetta, where Bayonetta was able to, when you get to a certain mode and she's actually aiming, you know that mode where she's actually aiming at the targets to shoot them, I wouldn't mind that. With a little bit more precision, a little mini game within the earning of that special attack, then I'm cool with it.
Okay.
I wish it was more combo driven. Like I could actually do combos like X pause.
Yeah, more in depth. More in depth combat system.
Yeah. I would really like that because I feel like Insomniac has good enough motion capture to sell those attacks and to make a very in depth and fun combination fighting game. You know. And then combos even with the attack button. And I wish Spider-Man had more fulfilling grabs versus waiting to for the enemies gauge. Basically, like what you're saying, I can't punch the guy with the crowbar.
Yeah,
it's ludicrous.
Yeah. Tim, you got any closing thoughts before we get to the last couple of points?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So last podcast we introduced a new thing called segments, right, where we all have our own particular categories. I didn't have mine solidified as of yet, but this week I'm golden and ready to go. I already gave the fellas, sneak peek of what mine was going to be for the week. Didn't go in depth at all, but just kind of gave them a little sneak preview. So my So for my segment, it's going to be player pass, right? Tim has told me this multiple times over the years. I've had some interesting takes on games that have either sold him on games or kept him away from games, and he's not been the only person that's told me that. I try not to just be like, oh, that looks trash, and leave it at that. And I'll give a very in-depth reason as why I think someone should play this game or just completely pass it by. But for this first episode, it is a game that I think is a must play. I think it's probably one of the best current quote unquote next gen games that we have out, and it was almost like a launch title, and that is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Tim had mentioned it earlier in the episode. He had made some points that I was looking to make, where it's a game where you don't. It's like, if you know Insomniac's history, you know they can make quality games, right? If you play even the Ratchet and Clank reboot on PS4, it's a really good time. It's fun. It's lighthearted. There's a lot of enjoyable things. And one of the things that really got me into Rift Apart is, to what Tim said, is it's the details, right? It's a game that, again, is kid friendly, has kids in mind. It's not the deepest storyline to get into. You can kind of see the plot twist a mile away, but it's the guns, the ideas for the guns. You could tell that a lot of that Resistance creative team spilled over into this game, like just the things that you could do with the guns. I think in terms of, what was the other character's name? Rivet, right? Tim, the girl?
I believe so.
Yeah. With Rivet and Ratchet, I would have liked to see a little bit more differentiation between them two in terms of playing style. Basically, what works for one works for the other, and obviously they kind of made it for simplification aspects. But in terms of the concept, right, the realms tearing apart, the fact that you can realm tear to a different part of the stage immediately, no loading times. You hop on your ship and you're already at the next stage, right? It's a hub world setup. The lighting, right? We joked about this off camera. I don't got the greatest TV. So if I'm watching this on my TV, my 1080p older TV, I'm just like, wow, the lighting on this looks incredible. It's just, you could tell that Ratchet and Clank has become almost like a passion project for Insomniac, where it's like whenever they, for all the complexities that we're getting with Spider-Man and all the different things that they have to have working and moving parts, it's like you can tell that there's just a love in that game of Ratchet and Clank of like, let's just do something simple and have fun as game developers. Like, it's something where, again, I didn't have to think too deep about it. I could turn my brain off while also still being engaged in the story. I think it has a satisfying ending. I think, again, there's just, in terms of the now overutilized joke of the power of the PS5, I think Ratchet and Clank does a really, really good argument. And it's a underrated game, and in the God of Wars and the Horizon Zero Dawns, that I think is a must play. I think it's a must play. I think gamers are doing themselves a disservice by not playing Rift Apart. So.
Okay. All right.
I see you have some pushback, but we're going to move on.
Yeah, I had to listen, man. I was like, okay, where's he going with this, man? But all right, man, no problem.
Okay.
I ain't mad at it.
All right, well, Jory, you can go next with your segment.
What is my segment?
Art that is triple SS rank. What is something that you feel like, what is some art that you feel like the people are sleeping on or don't acknowledge enough, or is properly acknowledged?
Okay, I thought you were introducing my new segment, but art that is SSS rank. Devil May Cry. Reason why I chose this, I feel like Devil May Cry has some of the 3, 1, and 4 are my favorite. From 2, there's some selective choices, but 2 has my least favorite of art direction.
Because it was a Bloodborne world.
It was just Bloodborne world, Victorian era, soulless. Even though Devil May Cry is inspired by those themes, it just didn't translate to me that well. Devil May Cry 3 in particular is my favorite. Art direction. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Shin Megami Tensei artists. but I think he contributed to the design of the Devil Trigger for this game particularly. You can tell because there's like whenever you transform into the Devil Trigger mode, you can see the streams of light, and you've seen Shin Megami Tensei, the one for the GameCube where he has like the light patterns on his face. That one specifically, the turn-based one. They're all turn-based, but this game particularly because it also has my favorite Dante versions of Dante and Virgil. So some cutscene artwork right here. It has some of the over I don't know why they call it over the top cutscenes or over the top anything. I mean, I would expect a super powered being to be able to do things at a super level. So
it gets a little ridiculous.
I mean, shooting laser beams out your eyes is a little ridiculous, but okay, let's make it make sense, right? I don't know. Let's go. See some of the artwork right here. Some of my favorite screenshots, CGI, high quality poster art right here. It also what I like about it is these just the creativity, man, the color choice, the weapon choice. The weapon choice designs are some of my favorite in this game. This is my favorite Dante. Also with the weapons and the enemies created in this game. Like these are the featured weapons in the video game. My favorite being Agni and Rudra, and in the second Cerberus. Very angry that Cerberus didn't get a double jump. Never understood why they did that. Give everybody a double jump. So you're ruining my combo experience when you do that. Rebellion, his prime weapon of choice. I felt that this design was so metal, man. So Metallica, 90s inspired heavy metal artwork right here with the sword. So I really enjoyed that. Beowulf, looking better than ever, man. My favorite hand-to-hand combat weapon in Devil May Cry. The white accents glowing when you would activate your Devil Trigger just did something else to me, man. And of course, lo and behold, the man who started the rivalry in video games, Virgil himself. Without him, you would not have a Jetstream Sam. Without him, you would not have... There's many others, but Jetstream Sam's the only...
Many others.
Many others.
Virgil is the father of more than just a Devil May Cry protagonist. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Without him, this is him in his Neo Angelo mode, following his father's footsteps. Him in the Beowulf and his sword Force Edge, having his father's sword Alistair, I believe. No. Yeah, Force Edge is his father's sword of Sparta. I'm sorry. Devil May Cry people, do not kill me. And overall, the enemies, man, that's another thing that lured me to this game. The enemy designs were so, how can I, stylized, right? Like versus a Ninja Gaiden, where I hate the enemies' designs. They were just like slopped up Saturday, like a Toriyama villain. Like, we know he spent 2 minutes drawing Cell. First version of Cell, just 2 minutes, and said that's it, perfect. And versus all the other Frieza henchmen, no thought behind it. Usually they just drew the character one time. My favorite boss fight being Agni and Rudra. This boss fight, the designs of the enemies, the red and blue contrast, them having different powers, and then them holding the swords differently. When you have Cerberus and Hell Vanguard, which was the first sub-boss, but winds up being a basic enemy. The further you go in the video game, the pastor himself, Pastor Arkham, and his daughter. And you can go even further down, see all the bosses right here. We have Navan. Oh, man, Beowulf. Oh, what is this one? Grayon. And then this one was the trash enemy design. This is just Blob. I don't really care about this enemy.
I mean,
but
they can all be 10
yeah,
10s.
They can all be 10 out of 10s, right?
Yeah.
You gotta let the new artists, the interns, get some. But yeah, this was my favorite, man.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and skip on to the Devil Trigger and the concept of it. This is when he transforms. I guess he's holding Cerberus right here. But this is one of my favorite art books because Devil May Cry, I would say, is probably one of my favorite action games of all time. Second game would be Metal Gear Solid Rising. These games did something for me to where they made me realize this is what I want to do with my drawing. I want to eventually own my own gaming studio and just or be a concept artist. Because man, I mean, just seeing the thought process of the artist. This is Agni Arudra. Left a very, 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 very strong impression on me, man. And it let me, it let me be okay with allowing to think in ways I never thought before. And you can actually make the entire game look cool and have its own style. And that's pretty much it. This is why I believe Devil May Cry 3 art book is SS Rank.
Okay.
Super SS Rank.
Respect. I'm not mad at the choice. And then Tim, the lore you know. What lore are we sleeping on this week?
I wouldn't say sleep on, man. There was one point of like gaming history that really just made me like, wow. It just how it all just came together full circle. Was the ending story of Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots. There was a fight that you had with Liquid Ocelot, which we thought was, Liquid's demeanor took over Ocelot's mind. But what we really found out that it was effect of hypnosis and nanomachines, because the supernatural in Metal Gear was always something that was really played with. So people thought like maybe Liquid's ghost took over Ocelot because he used his arm as like a transplant and stuff like that. But then they really found out what the real truth was, and he really realized that Ocelot really truly was the hero because he really idolized Big Boss and what he really stood for. So like, yes, you played as Big Boss's son, the greatest super soldier, Snake and stuff like that, but it was really this punk kid that you found in Russia so many years ago who has literally character evolved into basically his own version of a war hero itself, like just like tactical espionage, like almost like how in Swordfish where he was talking about misdirection, Stan, because what you're looking at, something else is completely going on over there that you're not really seeing, but I have your attention so much. And that's what Ocelot did. He had because they were fighting AI and all those other things. So like the AI could not truly grasp what Ocelot was really doing. And then when you found out, like especially after when he was about to die, you found out that the mental brainwash and then the hypnosis came off. And then right before he died, he gave him the usual salute. And he said, "You're pretty good." And that's when I was like, wait, what? And then that's when you realize Liquid's demeanor had left. Like the everything he came back to normal and he did his final salute and that was it. And then when Big Boss told the final story of all the events that were really truly going on, like who the Patriots were and how it all started, and then the thing with Major Zero from Snake Eater, it was just such a beautiful story, man, to really see come together. So like even when I, interconnected to further like stories like Peace Walker and even like the Phantom Pain, like the way how Kojima just made you create your own character, but the character actually mattered because you realize you were the doppelganger for Big Boss because, yes, the Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2, they're 8-bit games. And then, so a lot of people kind of just like retcon those things and don't really try to like do much with them. But the fact that what happened in those games still echoes through time in these stories. Like, you said you killed Big Boss, but how did he show up in Metal Gear 2? And you realize that one that you killed in Metal Gear 1 was actually your character. And it was like, yeah, in 5, that was you. that he killed. And it was just such a real fantastic story, like of how, because it really made sense. Like, how is Big Boss able to build a military and nobody see it happening, especially when you understand the people who were looking around for him around the world? It's because, like, once again, misdirection, Stan. They were so focused on you, the character, and what you were doing that they didn't see what Big Boss was doing behind the scenes, creating Outer Heaven. So, like I said, like, tactical espionage is like, there's a lot of psychological matters. It's just like how to really get your attention that you don't really see what I'm actually doing. And, like I said, it was all for like greater good. I wouldn't say greater good, but like it was the morality choices behind it that really, really shocked me. And, like, I'm sad that, Kojima wasn't able to see his full vision through, because there was just some like elements that was involving Liquid Snake. And I felt that would have truly just brought this story together. Hopefully down the line, I hope that we get, modern day age versions of Metal Gear 1 and 2, like to see that what actually happened in that Outer Heaven era, like outside of the 8-bit stories, because I do feel once we get those, the Metal Gear story could finally just rest in peace.
Okay. All right. Definitely a solid selection for the lore, Actually, solid selection all around. I mean, I know clearly Jory had some pushback that we'll discuss off mic for my player pass for this week.
No, you know, I was listening. You. That's why I sit back. I was like, all right, it's making sense. But boy, Ratchet and Clank, boy, I was like, whoa.
I know, but like I said, and if I had to sum it up real quick, it's just, if you're looking for a game that, again, has cutting edge graphics, makes use of the hardware, tells a really good story, and it's just an enjoyable game, you could do far, far worse than Rift Apart. It's a really good time.
I thought you were gonna say Knack 2, but no. I'm glad you. Hey, bro. You never know nowadays, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Bob Iger. That's all I gotta say. Bob Iger.
But all right, everyone, thank you again so much for tuning in, watching, listening from whatever it may be. We're across multiple platforms looking to expand to more. Please make sure, if you have an option, to like, share, or subscribe, whether it be YouTube or, again, any of the other platforms that you manage to do so. We do try our best to get back, or at least acknowledge, every single comment that's made. Thank you guys so much for listening. Once again, this is the Gamer Podcast. I am Antonius DaGamer, joined by Mykale Smith and Super SS Rank, and this has been episode 8.